Alright, let's do our testing. Let's do our frickin' sheet. Best way to start the stream. Oh, I forgot it's a frickin' advertisement. God. Come on, advertisement. Let's get this going on here. Come on, I don't want this free phone. Go away. Come on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 1 second, and alright, cool. Alright. Microphone check. Hello? Yeah, okay. Yeah, 1 second. Alright, fuck. Sick! Alright, audio check. Okay, that was kind of loud. Alright, that was a good test. Alright, we're good. Everything's fine. Run it. Alright. Hey, what's up, Bagel? What's up, dude? Alright, so we left off, what was it? Last Monday, right? Yeah. We left off, who did we kill? Oh, we tried that confetti, right? Why's my game? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Alright, we left off killing, that one boss, right? And then he gave me something involving the shops, right? Or am I thinking about a different game? We killed the little wizard dude. The wizard? I think that was there, wasn't it? So now we go back to... Oh, crap. Is it there? Yeah. Okay. Almost forgot. It should be the one. It should be the thing about before that one guy dude, right? Oh yeah, I didn't check my death counter. Good work. Yeah. All right. Is this before? Yeah. All right, we're on the right spot. All right. So, Bagel. So, we should explore this place first, right? We're not going back for the punks I missed. Also, how the frick did I miss 3 dudes? Or 4 dudes? What the frick is that? How the frick did I miss that shit? Also, where's that dude with the frickin' sheet? Okay, he's right there. I'm just saying. Oh, no, I'm good. You're good. I was asking, how the frick did I miss 3 to 4 guys? I just left voice chat with a friend. Oh, sheet. My bad. Sorry you got the sacrifice talking to your friends. They haven't showed up yet? Oh. So wait, I haven't missed any bosses then? I thought you said I was missing some bosses. Huh. Sounds like fun. Are we gonna talk about how I just got on that? Alright, is there some like strategy we should be going for here, or why is this here for? Oh, that's why. Oh damn, this guy's kinda good. Okay. What is that little frickin' hacky sack thing? Do a boss fight. Nah, we ain't doing it. I'm thinking about did we kill this guy? Not yet, but later. Wait, there actually is one? Son of a peach. I don't think I can kill this guy, but Well, not if I do that. Is there another? Was there always two? Where did this guy come from? What? I swear that beast was not there 2 seconds ago. Nice fail, my guy. Okay, there's a lot of corners I gotta watch here. I don't really like that sheet. I have a feeling if I get this guy, I'm about to get caught by like 7 dudes. Considering I can't even see. Okay, I see one guy. Where the frick was the other frickin' triangle sheet at? I watch this middle. Here we go. Two very annoying people. You will love. He loves Zeus' experience. Oh God. Alright, let's keep up with the rhythm we had last time, where we oh my, excuse me, where we just kind of took it slow and just got everything. It's like the gods can deal it, but on crack. Oh God. Why? Alright, Sekiro time. Let's make sure to everything. Can I just like? Wow. I'm sure bet if I go up here, I'm about to get caught by someone. Okay, well, I mean, you're just free freaking experience, so I mean, I'm freaking. Ah! Freaking money. Alright, wasn't there like a dude below me or something? Oh, hello. Oh, you best believe your ass is freaking dying today, boy. Alright, now the question is, if I run and jump just directly right here, you're gonna see me. Oh, this guy's freaking dumb. Thanks for their free freaking stuff. Pretty sure I just phased that freaking roof. Freaking money. Okay, funny part is I was pressing F that whole time to grab one of that sheet, but he didn't know me to. Okay. Okay, so here's the plan here. Fuck those guys. Can I make that? No, I can't make that sheet. Yeah, who can I go for first that you probably wouldn't see me? Are you angled, sir? I can't see shit. Okay, if I go for the guy on the left, I have a feeling the guy on the right might not see me. What do you think? Maybe. Besides, this guy has a bow, which probably means he's fucking garbage of the game. God, I forgot all he does is. I meant to do that. I wonder if we start. Oh, bitch. Oh, this guy is cheap. Alright, taking it slow. You know, we ain't missing sheet. Taking it slow, taking it slow. Besides, I don't know what the frick is happening because there's like 7,000 angles I have to frickin' watch. I totally forgot to kill that guy, but no one gives a shit about that guy. Probably want to say is probably a guy right here, so if I go for these guys, I'll probably get slapped. But, good content, so run it. He's just should I kill this guy, dude? Might as well, dude. He's right there. Freaking, that's just for experience. Freaking run it. For freaking experience, dude. Ah! Oh shit! Oh shit! Forgot about that guy. Hey, what's up, Eli? What's up with it, man? Oh, let's see here. Okay, well, you pretty much just gave me a free freaking double kill. Oh, why did you guys have to go? Oh, you beach. If they would have went behind each other, I would have been able to freaking easily kill their ass. I kind of want to get an easy kill on him. Let's wait a little bit. Hold up. I could just skip him. You know what? Frick it. Let's just skip him. Frick those punks. Kill their ass. And again, free experience. Fighting boss today? I think the plan is to fight whoever the frick is in this area, but not quite sure. Oh, it's these guys. Can you just ruin my frickin' happiness of getting this sheet? Okay, if I get these guys, if these guys start screaming, the whole frickin' map's gonna get my ass. So let's do it. Alright, that works. Is it worth it though? Not really. I'm just kidding. Greatly reduces the amount of damage received from lightning attacks. I mean, that would be good if I used it. We'll probably beat this area today, for sure. Even if I'm playing slow as shit. I got a feeling there's another item over there, but I have also a feeling it's a fucking stupid trap, so. If you play slow, you die less, so you're smart. Yeah! Okay, no, question is, which way do I go next? Okay, we got these two frickin' punks right here. Or, God, I didn't know where was that. Oh, right here. No, I can't kill these guys at the same time, and they both have sheets, which kind of worries me. And then we have these frickin' two punks right here. Maybe I can wait until these guys go down there and then frickin' assassinate one of these guys and then frickin' tussle with the other one. Give it the good old 1-2 slap, you know? Now, the problem is, how the fuck are we gonna see these guys? I don't know why I'm tilting my head like this is helping. It's not helping at all. I don't know where the fuck they're at. Ah! Ah! That was the last thing I was expecting. Oh! Oh! Why can't I kill you? What the fuck? Why can't I? What the fuck? Oh. Hello? I think Jessica scammed. There's no shot you can see me down here. What, do you got frickin' walk something? Oh, I might as well go kill those guys too. Frickin', you know what? Let's just clear the whole frickin' map. Run it. Oh, they're just mad because their homies died. Ha! Sheep. Alright, wait. Where the fuck did you come from? You always over there? I guess so. Okay, I want to kill these guys to the left, like real bad. So let's just keep racing until we can kill the rest. Oh, can I get through right here? Oh, right. No, never mind. Can't do that. But I can get through right here though. How do you mess that up? How do you... Ah! Oh my god! Okay. Ow! Alright. Nah, that's cool. Guess what, Beast? I'm back from the dead. Okay, apparently I don't know how to press left click. There we go. The main thing in this game is just a frickin' parry. I don't think any of those are successful. So, that was a little scuffed, but somehow it worked. Alright, this is just always that. Should we kill these two guys? Which one's... There's one guy in the corner. We can probably get him first. How the fuck am I gonna do that? I could just wait to kill him until I can get up on top of him, or we can just go out there. No, this guy's gonna see me. Oh, he's not facing me. He's facing the other way. I don't know if you guys know that or not. He's definitely not facing me. Ah! Ah! How much experience this guy's giving. Holy shit. Alright, where the frick haven't I been? Over here, right? I think that was a guess. Alright. I can run that sheet full clear this motorcycle. Yeah. Alright. Use mud. Okay, good. Okay, hold up on that. You can definitely hear it's freaking like 4 dogs in that beach. I got hurt before his ass before the other guy gets over here. Get the frick out of my game. There's a lot of homies over here. You know what that means? So that should be some good ass sheep. Did that homie go back inside? There's a guy right here, right? No jokes. Oh. What? Okay, no, watch this. Just make him waste all his arrows. Ow! Ow! I am not dying to a guy with the bow right now. I'm not dying to a guy with the bow. Come on, Beach, give me my sheep back. Get the frick off the wall. If I would have died to that guy, I probably would have ended the stream, not gonna lie. No chance I got the frickin' stupid bow. Yeah, how many? Oh, that guy's a hard. Oh, that guy's a little bit. Is that a little miniature dragon over there? What the frick is that? What the fuck? I see some sheep. I know there's 2 homies over here. Is it worth going over here? You know what? I should just open that sheet right now. Just to see it, because this is probably where the frickin' idol's gonna be anyways. Sure, open it? Huh. Okay, never mind. They'll tell me to do it. Never mind, let's go over here. It's gonna be a boss. Kill it. Let's go. Hot psych, you thought I was gonna go for that. Ha! No, just kidding. I'm actually gonna go for it. Sorry, I can't go for it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No balls. I ain't gotta revive. Fuck that. Let me go kill this punk down here. No need for a revive. Do you know who you're talking to, my guy? Okay, let me check if these guys are freaking low users. What the fuck are they? Did I ever bait you into something that kills you? Yeah. Wait, did you get me in Dark Souls with the is it Dark Souls? It wasn't Elden Ring. I think it was 3. There's like a ledge, right? And you go onto it and then the ledge breaks and you die. Or did you show me a video of that? Something involved in that. Yeah, it was either Dark Souls frickin' 3 or Elden Ring. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda wanna go over here. Is that a frickin' idol or am I frickin' dumb? I kinda forgot what idols look like, I'm not gonna lie with you. Okay, how do I approach this? You got 5 homies right here. What the frick am I gonna do? It's an idol. Okay, I'm just dumb. What's the plan of action here? Do I got like a smoke bomb or something in here? Cause like I want to kill these punks. Even if I have one, this would be nice if I kind of like memorize what all this shit does. Where's the smoke bomb at? See, but like, isn't this thing garbage? Didn't I use this before? It's freaking trash. Dude, I got some money, dude. I should go back and use my. You know what? New goal. Forget if we get to the idol, we're gonna freaking bank our sheet. How the fuck do I approach this? I gotta revive, but there's no way I'm killing 5 guys in one freaking run. And there's no way I'm gonna be able to execute that top guy. Oh fuck, my sister's calling me home. Un momento. Sorry, buddy. Kind of sucks because whenever my sister calls me, it's just like 60% her talking and then 40% her getting distracted by one of her kids. Alright, what I missed? Oh yeah, yeah, I kind of forgot how this. How's the new child doing? She's doing Gucci actually. Yeah, she's doing Gucci. Nothing wrong with her, which is fantastic. But yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, now the question is, right? This speech is looking right at me, right? So, what are the chances of me even being able to backstab one of these motherfuckers? I guess I can wait until he does that. Use the other one. I changed it. I got the smoke one. But what are the chances I can backstab his speech? Because this motherfucker is always looking. I guess it's not actually. I watched this people here. Never seen a god tier fucking podcast before. Let's wait for him to, like, you know, start up a different sheet. Not looking this way. Wait for it. 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 It's a freaking yoga in this speech. What? What? I can't. What's it called? Well, I couldn't. What's it called? Woo! Oh! Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, shit, I forgot that's a move. How you doing again? Never mind. I thought I figured it out, but oh, so I'll be down here. I'll be down here. Don't worry. I'll just be down here checking in with Chopel. I'll be down here. Yeah, I'll be over here. Only I would do something like that. Why am I going over here? Okay, wait. So, what's the technique with the lightning again? If I'm in the air and I press left click, it like counteracts it and goes back to the person, right? I haven't done that since what boss was that? Oh no, that was the first owl. Would you look at that? Ah, just a nice little reset. Are they gonna reset back into their training session? Oh, it doesn't do lightning? Oh, it was Genshiro. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I almost got that sheet. Look at that. I fucking remember some sheet. Oh, okay. I didn't want to do that. I can't watch this big already. Do you really forget about me? I was about to say, you're not going to attack or what? How did none of those hit me? Okay, can we talk about how I haven't died yet? Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, it's one of those things. Cool. Oh yeah, can we talk about... Wasn't there a guy right here? Okay. Wasn't there some type of like figure right here? Okay. Okay, I want to save up for this one. I need to save up for this. Okay. There's no way I'm dumb here. Was there not a guy chilling right here when I looked over here before? That I thought was a dragon, or was that the tree and I'm freaking dumb? Oh, it's where this speech is at. Oh yeah. It's on the tree. Oh, because it was the... Oh. Okay, no. Hear me out, dude. I'm gonna go back maybe at the end of the stream and screenshot that sheet because it looks like there's a freaking dragon, dude. All right. It looks like he was just posted up right here, just chilling, right? Like right here. Right, like I ain't tripping, right? Okay, now the question is, am I going to kill this dude or am I just walking to my death? Do we try and get this guy first or do we go in that door first? I'm really trying to get to level 5, I'm not gonna lie. Now I could redo that all over again, but I don't like doing that shit. I killed that guy in one hit, but you don't have that talent. You should kill him so you can swim. Can I kill him? Oh, we should probably rest first, huh? It's a normal hub. Yeah. No mama. Wait, is he the same dude that I just killed? The purple guy? He's just... That's the same exact freaking move, right? No, he has to be a unique one, right? There's no way. Oh, that's a purple guy. Oh, alright. Ow! Wow, that was bad. Alright, let's do it again. Let's just do it one more time. What the fuck? You can check those? Dude, okay, okay, in my defense, and look, in my defense, alright, I freaking jumped, alright. In my defense, dude, I freaking jumped. Okay, not gonna lie, dude, I saw the bar on the left, I thought it was like an actual boss. In my defense, alright. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, so what have we unlocked doing that? We definitely unlocked being able to go right there. So, now what the frick is the plan? God damn, I have so much freaking money. I should definitely spend that. Yeah, for real, it's not gonna let me do that. It's hooked up. Alright, what's the plan, Miguel? Well, the water is over here now. Yeah. So, do we go in that door or do we go in the water? Where are the fricks in the water? I mean, the only thing I can see right now is probably that guy. But I'm gonna assume it's probably gonna be something else. Just taking a wild shot because this is pretty freaking deep. You can't open the door from your side. Let's go to that guy down there. Haha. All right. Dude, if there's like a freaking like serpent or something. Fuck. Are you afraid of deep water? Well, you can do a little dive? Yeah, I had a feeling that you were...
Excuse me, young man.
Oh, you did? Wait.
Young man, do you happen to be going
Oh, it's this
to the
chick.
palace?
Wait, where are you from?
If you are, you should take the back path. Nowadays, it's underwater. But there is a large cave you can take to get there. Only
Ah, that was someone else.
I hear the great carp now sleeps there.
Oh, yeah, the frickin' big-ass fish that almost killed me when I went over there. Yeah, I remember that.
Why are you helping me?
The gates to the palace have been closed for a long time now. I have a very important task I must tend to. But I couldn't.
So we go underwater through the cave. The big fish is not a boss you fight.
Open
Oh.
the door to the palace, young man. Nowadays it's underwater. But there is, and if you I
have a task to accomplish. You don't kill him by fighting. There's some other stuff you can do for him, but I don't know how to do that all stuff. Ooh, okay. The cave entrance is underwater left to the lady. Is it that way? Or is it that way? This left or that left? I'm just kidding. Wait, was it the first one or the second one? Why is Jesus Christ, that scared the shit out of me. Yeah, that beast scared the shit out of me. Holy shit. Is there a freaking breath in this game? Have I ever been underwater? I don't think so. That beast scared the shit out of me, dude. Holy fuck. This is a freaking trap. I'm going for it too. My breath, hell yeah. God, I can't believe how much I can see you, dumbass. Okay, so you said I don't fight him? That's a freaking big ass fish, dude. Holy shit. So we're gonna get past the card without being seen? That's freaking easy money. Where'd it go? Okay, that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault. I deserve that. I deserve that. I deserve that. Ah! Alright. Alright. So, that went well. If you want, I sub one attempt. Oh, I didn't see the fighting part. Okay, now I would fight him, but I'm trying to get level 5. So, fuck that. Actually, now that I think about it, should I go back to the other place, right, and just kill stuff to get it? I feel like that's cheap though. Cause I want level 5 bad. I don't think you can actually kill him underwater. Oh shit. Up to you. I don't know. There's gonna be enemies ahead that you can kill from. Okay. Yeah, I'm fucking so close, man. I just want to secure this, because what are the chances of me getting 5? Like, this is probably the only chance I'm getting 5, let's be honest here. That's the first 5 skill I've had, right? What the frick can I lock onto you guys? What the what is up with you guys? Hello? I don't like this. Why can't I lock onto you? This is I'm gonna die. I don't like this. Oh, I guess I can probably rest. Okay. Can you guys give me like probably like maybe like 10,000 XP, you know, to give me 5? Thanks. What is up with you guys? Oh wait, are these no, that's different. See now, if I wanted to, I could just reset and kill those guys about freaking 20 times. But I feel like that's too cheap, so I'm not gonna do it. Oh, look at that, a freaking chest. I wonder if someone's gonna attack me trying to get this. Ha! There's gonna be enemy's head that you can farm. Wait, I already read that. Oops. Something makes in this game, right? That's a big ass chest. Oh hell yeah, dude. Oh, I haven't had one of those in a freaking hot minute. Which story you took them out? We missed 2 guards soon. This is the last one. What I did? Wait, of the whole game? What store should I go in first? Does it matter? Oh, this is... Oh. This is the shortcut. Oh. Shortcut. Alright, let's be honest here, Pickle. Is there a boss behind this door? let's just keep it real here. If there's a boss behind this door, I ain't getting 5 levels. Right behind the store? Yeah. Is there more enemies up ahead? I guess let's be real, no cap. No cap for real. Nah. Okay, so like, are you being nice or what? Oh, now you're gonna put the cheesy face? No, you know, frick that, dude. We're getting 5. These guys reset? We're gonna find out. Oh, let's just look at that. The reset. Open it. Oh, look, enemies. Oh. Oh.
You beasts.
Oh.
You tricked him all this time.
Oh, it's
Eternity this and eternity that. Pretty lies to fool him. Give him back. Father. My father. Give him back.
wow. I kind of feel bad. What happens if I do it again? Educational purposes. Oh. Damn. Fuck it, man. Let's open the goddamn door. Ah, I don't. Fuck. I'm not getting level 5, am I? Frickin' never mind. Frick the level 5. I don't want it anyways. See no boss. Oh, yeah. Who the frick saw me? Where's the monk at? Ooh, item. I don't like this at all. Not a fan of what the frick is about to happen. I am not a fan. I would go for that item, but I feel like it's a... Are you done? Alright. I gotta deal with light. Oh. I'm not this freaking guy, dude. Oh, it's the lightning guy after that. Haha, duh. These small chokers give me 1,000? Where's this? Oh, hey. What the fuck? Ah! Oh, okay. Ah! Mother beat. Wow, that's literally how easy it is to kill you guys. If you want level 5, you probably don't want to go all the way up, but from these guys. I want level 5. There's literally no other time in the freaking game that I'm gonna get this sheet. If I don't get it now, so run that sheet. It's probably the only time I'm gonna do this. I feel like I've actually done it before in this playthrough, but I kind of forgot. Yeah, those guys get what, 1,000, dude? All I gotta do is run that like what, 1.5 more times? Alright, this is the only time you're seeing me doing this shit, big, alright? It's only because I'm close. Technically, I tell myself, I said something about it, I think. Saying if I was like hella close to it. Oh no, this is an Elder Ring. Anyway. These guys even respawn? I guess they do. It's okay, you'll admit it. Yeah, I know. Is there any way I could just get a couple of them instead of the whole... Oh, probably do that. What are you gonna do? Huh? Yeah, you can't hit me through a rock, beach. Get your ass down here from like a man. Come on, get your stupid ass down here if I'm like a man. I ain't no beach. Ah! Do it again. Ah! Do that shit again. Oh, how do you suck me down? I ain't got no time for that shit. Okay, nah, there's literally no way I was able to survive that. Do that shit again. I freaking dare you. I am gonna die. Thank God I got a revive from that beach. Holy shit. Dude, if I didn't get a revive from that beach. What the frick are you hopping around for, beach? Suck your fate. Can I don't think we have shit. Imagine if I die right there. Imagine how embarrassing that'd be. Okay, so we got a slight problem here. Fuck, I gotta kill two. Alright, we got a slight problem here. I almost died, and yeah, we got a little slight problem here. How the fuck did I miss that again? Okay, so how about let's not let that happen again. Because I was a little too close. See, now what I could do is I could go kill the other beach. What's the problem? I freaking suck is the problem. I'm panicking. Nah, we ain't no beach. I was gonna go switch to the other guys, but nah, we ain't no beach. We ain't no punk. If we're gonna farm, we farming the freaking big boy way, and we ain't doing no freaking small shit. This is not the right one. I don't know why I'm going up here when I'm gonna get your freaking attention anyways. Gee, where are you facing at? Oh, you're right there. I can definitely get assassination on your ass if you walk a tiny bit closer. Or I could just miss it. I need you to hurry the fuck up and die, Manchuka. I need you not to do anything in about 5 seconds. Ah! We can kill it, why not? Come on, go ahead. No, go ahead and do it. I fucking dare you. Ah! What? You know what? Frick you. I expect you down last opposite me too. I was fully expecting to die. That would have been, I think that would have been the freaking definition of a freaking Nick thing, dude. That was freaking bad. Alright, now we got a few things to do here. Alright, before we go up there, because who the frick knows what's up there, alright? First things first, we gotta freaking rest, right? Second thing, we gotta go talk to that one beach so I can get my goddamn potion. And then the third thing is the frickin' skill, which I can just get right now. Curl the tally upon performing so death blow to provide to me with an appearance to breathe. Blah 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 blah. Yeah! See. What do you think is up there? A frickin' big ass goat that has 2 frickin' horns. No, 3 horns. And it hates gonna hurt. I'm just kidding. Also, I want to get one of these, like, real bad. I don't know which one is the best one, but obviously it must be freaking good because it's the last freaking thing. Whatever there is up there that hurts you a lot when it hits you. Ha, sounds like fun. Alright, is Emma gonna be in that same spot? Don't tell me, don't tell me. Is she gonna be here? Oh, Emma! Also, where's the other seat that I missed? Excuse me. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? She back at the OG temple? The OG. Oh yeah, cause I think I went here last time when she was here. Not sure which ones you missed. Oh, it'd be one of those things. She's probably talking to what's his face. Yes, sir.
You've come back from an old memory, I see.
I have. But I haven't seen everything yet.
I understand. Please be careful.
Oh wait, that's a memory, huh? Oh yeah. Wait, is that whole no wait, is that whole thing I'm running in memory? Or is that something else? I totally forgot it. At the box in the temple for sale? What? Oh, did you mean to say for sure?
Goodbye, Master.
What the frick are you talking about? Oh, memory, okay. What happened at that memory? I forgot. Oh, this speaks
You've
on.
got it too.
Should probably spend money to freaking. Yeah. We know you can't breathe. Shut the fuck up. I guess we can probably buy one of these and help these homies out. I think I found another one. The seeds could be at the box in the temple for sale. Oh, the box, dude! I totally forgot about that. Oh, dude, I was wondering what the frick you were talking about. Is it worth to? Yeah, I might as well. This doesn't mess anything up, is it? In fact, this probably helps me out. I'm eventually gonna have to do this anyways. Actually, you know what? If I'm gonna fight a boss, probably gonna die a lot. Probably it's not worth. Doesn't mess up anything. Well, I remember last time we were trying to do that whole Kuro thing, and you said to restore some sheet because it fucked something up. But you know what? I hate to see my homie hooked up, so let's get him all Gucci. Dude, I freaking totally forgot about this box. Oh, would you look at that? I need to get that. How much is that? I need what, 600? I need to get that sheet. Just a prayer beat. No, that's a freaking god tier prayer beat right there. Do I use that sheet in my inventory or what? I kind of forgot how these work. Okay. This is 500, right? Oh, it's 1,000. Whoops. Wait. I thought this one was... Whoa, I thought this one was 200. This one's a 500? Really? Oh, yeah, it is. Duh. I'm freaking dumb. I'm a sheep. Fuck. That'd be good, though, if next epic. Yeah. We're getting a shitload of upgrades right now.
Hey there, still up?
Let's buy. You're out of that? You fucking joking me right now, dude? Okay, well, I want to spend this money, so let's buy some sheet. I'm probably never gonna use these. This is not a bad idea. No, what can you go wrong with pellets, right? I mean, it's just freaking money. I can get it. I mean, oh, I can get all the freaking money I freaking want, dude.
Until next.
Shit. That's probably the most money I've ever had,
You've
dude.
come back from an
I have.
Lord
Okay, so
Kuro
shit!
bound to
I didn't mean to do
the
that.
divine heir of the dragon's heritage.
You got infinite money.
Eternity.
Pure
My
rich, just like
wish
our.
is
Oh,
that
freaking wish I was
he
rich.
could
Our.
be freed of this burden and pursue.
I'll
a
tell you this
normal
much:
life.
there ain't no rich being in freaking California.
Goodbye, Master Wolf.
Go wait. So you're telling me I'm still missing one? Seed. Oh yeah, because I'm about 9. And then it's gonna be this one. Yeah. Sheet. The best sheet, bro. 7th freaking prayer necklace. I'm a freaking god. Look at that freaking health bar. Whew. She's popping, dude. Sheet. Houses are pretty expensive over there. Oh hell yeah, they are. If you think I'm getting a lot of money, just know that it's nowhere near enough money to live by myself. Say that much. Well, actually, well, if I would have got, if I get like a 1-bedroom house or apartment, probably, but still, that's kind of pushing it because of freaking bills and shit. You also miss like 12 pair of beads? No freaking shit, I miss 12 freaking beads. That's like 4 freaking sheets. Where they at? What the fuck? How much your house is? See, that sheet's gone up. For like a 3-bed, 2-bath, it's probably like, right now, I would say like 2,400 around there ish. I think. Where the frick was it just at again? Palace Grounds? Where was that just at? I was at Fountainhead, right? Yeah. So obviously I must have been the last one. What the fuck? Yeah, man, money had to have some say to freaking California's correct. Found a palace last DP. Okay. Not sure. Alright, dude, we got hella freaking upgrades. We got a freaking vitality and where the frick the other one? Posture, I think. And then we got freaking what's it called? That beach just dropped in the floor. Then we got a skill upgrade. We got 2 seeds, so that's 2 extra freaking pots, which is freaking god tier. We got hella sheep. Look at that freaking bar, dude. Oh. Alright, now we're gonna kill this dumb beach. First things first, we're getting rid of the frick sheep down here, cause there's a freaking big ass alligator. Then there's a big ass alligator. Wow, I thought something was there. That was freaking not worth it. When the frick did you guys get here? Is that really necessary to freaking? Is that really necessary? It's a freaking lizard, bro. No need to freaking start stab that beach. Like what? Just give him a go 1-2 slice. Now, it'd be smart. It'd be smart to kill these guys again, right? Because, I mean, they're going to follow me up there. That was a really dumb question. Right, pretend you didn't hear that, Pickle. Shit! Get your ass down. This freaking cut. God, it's so nice to have this stand bar. Holy shit. Okay, now, rush this beach. Don't be trash of the game. We can kill these guys in 2 freaking seconds. Ready? Set, go. Oh! What? Ah! I thought that was the other chick. How the frick did you fall down? What's up? Oh, what the frick was the lot? I thought the lightning was coming in. Woo! Now you're coming when I'm not expecting it. No, that's cool. I love that. Just check that shit when I'm not expecting it. Ah! Oh, she freaking missed. She freaking fucked. Oh, ah! You like that shit? Frickin' son of a beast. Oh yeah, that's right. Hop your little sheep. Ah! Stupid little. Jesus Christ. Frick you, lizard. Alright. Ah! But that was a lot more than it should have been. Let's see. Okay. So I voted a goat. Oh, there's a freaking outdoor here. I totally could have just freaking gotten this and went back every time instead of freaking walking down that stupid sheet. What the frick, man? You could tell my sheet. Oh, nah, you give me one? I just spent 180 gold in that beach. What the fuck? Alright, well, I lost a freaking revive, so I might as well just freaking rest, right? And also use 2 potions. Alright, what the frick's up here? I'm ready to freaking die. Oh. Should I have done something else first? It's time to put your skills to the test. Millennium V2. No chance this much like a fight's me over Petra I'm praying for. I am Millennium. Shut the fuck up. You still got that coffee? No shots. Okay, this isn't going into the memory. Is it? The memory only applies to that little idol at the town, right?
The divine realm.
Oh, shit, this is the... Don't... You're not... Please don't tell me I'm buying that sheet. Oh god, it's actually money. Oh no. Oh no. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Oh, God, what the fuck? That's it? Oh, well, okay. How many you got? 2? Oh, only 1? That's easy. That's pretty just small as shit. What's that sound like Star Wars? What's the plan of action here? Do I just... What's the plan of action here? Do I just sit here and attack people? Oh, this is... Oh, you guys are counted as block. What the frick? Man, this is easy! Okay, that's probably hurts a lot. Ah! That was freaking sick. What the fuck? That was freaking sick. Do it again. Ah! Yeah! That was freaking sick as shit. Do I shoot again, boy? Ah. Oh. Nah, we got it again. That was freaking sick. Do I shoot again? Ah! Oh, shit, it's gone. Okay, never mind. I lied. More in case you were. No, that's cool. I want that. Yeah. Want that shit. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Okay, that was like easy as shit. He knows the strats. Hell yeah, that was freaking easy. I was pure luck, by the way. Oh yeah, you told me that the boss in this area was a joke. Wait, there's more, isn't there? There's no shot, that was it. How would we fight? Yep, there it is. Tell me it's a freaking big ass tree. Was that actually it? Imagine dying to that. There's no way I'm fighting this right now. Dude, you gotta be freaking joking me. Oh my freaking Jesus Christ. Oh, you freaking joking me. What the fuck is this shit? What the fuck? There's no way they want me to fight this. Are you freaking kidding me now? Okay, what the frick is this right here? This one's lighting up. Should I go to that one? This one's lighting up. This one's special. Oh, I want to do that. Ah! Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I get it. No, that's just freaking easy as shit. Where's the other one at? Ah! Oh, that hurts a lot. Oh, shit. Oh, this is freaking easy money, dude. Just gotta freaking run around a little bit. Drink a freaking potion. Oh, okay, I wasn't close enough for that. Man, this freaking trick is easy to see. Man, this ain't no challenge. Ow. Ah! Man, this beach ain't cheap. Make this epic. I want to talk about that first one, dude. That was freaking pure luck, my guy. Absolute freaking luck. Ah! Now I got all this free time because you're doing your stupid animation sheets. That's gonna freaking pull me back. Yep. Okay, I respect it. So freaking late. So freaking late. What the fuck? Alright, see you later, homie. Ah! Well, that's fucked up. Is that she bagel? It's fucked up. Sorry, I haven't. See you later. Oh, come on. Come on, come on. Give me this one right in front of me. Right in front of me. Here we go. This one. It's time for you to freaking die, dude. It's freaking time to say sayonara. Beach! Ah! Wow, garbage. Alright, let's just, I probably should have timed that a little better. It's not like I didn't have a big leads to shoot, alright? See that jump? You're freaking out of here, my guy. You are out of here. Ah! Okay, how do I execute your ass? Oh, okay, never mind. Phase 2. You're not dead yet. What the frick am I celebrating? What the frick am I celebrating? You ain't dead yet. I don't know if I should be jumping here. Okay, not gonna lie, this is kind of freaking cool. I gotta go in the. Oh, shit. Where the frick? Oh, shit. Which where I gotta go? Ah! Am I supposed to just sit here and tank all this? Jesus Christ. Okay. If you don't mind, would you mind, if you don't... Okay, so, like, if you don't mind steering me the right way here, what the frick did you want me to do there? Okay, that was honestly probably a world record, an hour and 25 minutes, and I died. That's freaking wild. Okay, what the frick am I supposed to do there? Am I supposed to tank that whole sheet? No. But now I gotta do this sheet again? Not gonna lie, this first part's kind of fun though. Okay, I did see the lightning in the back, right? And that's what I was going towards. But I feel like when I got over there, there ain't sheet over there. So I think it's just like a freaking background lightning. Maybe he wants me to get close to him? Hopefully not. Not gonna do this first part. It's freaking fun as shit though. Ah! Yeah! Dude, I swear that sounds like freaking Star Wars, dude. Damn. Get the fuck out of the boot. Alright, what the frick is this strat here? Am I supposed to run towards this beach? Woo! actually jumping for once. You proud of me? Hey, what's up, Torchy? Ah! Yeah! Alright, let's beat out the waves. Or whatever the hell you want to call those. Alright, see that freaking chump. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah! Go freaking quick! Ah! Damn, I said that. Oh, this beach is right in front of me, dude. This beach right in front of me. Yeah! Son of a bitch. Why you gotta come me want to rub it out of all this? This is way too freaking late. How the frick did I not get hit by that? I am going the freaking complete opposite way. I don't know where the frick I think I'm going. Lay out the waves. I see the freaking chump. You're freaking out of here, my guy. Yabadoo! Alright, what the frick is this right here? You know what? I'm going close to this beach. I'm going close to this beach. There's no way it wants me to survive this whole freaking shoot. There has to be like a method here. Woo! That's how I died. That's how I died before. What does this do? What the frickin'? What am I doing? What am I supposed to? I'm supposed to go on that. I'm frickin' going. I just ruined my whole chances of this whole. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to go on that, but I was too busy understanding what the frick was happening. And now I'm about to frickin' die. Woo! Oh! Oh! I'm assuming I'm going this. Oh, maybe not. Well, I don't know what. Okay. Wait, what if I just? I'm gonna keep reading. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. I'm not gonna lie here. I don't know what opportunity I'm supposed to be taking here, because this shit ain't working right here. I don't know what, I mean, I can just sit right here. I can just sit right here though, which I'm cool. Or not. I don't know what the frick I'm supposed to do. You're literally damaging the boss the same way you did before. You just ignoring the thunder the whole time? Wait, what? I damaged the boss with the frickin' little lightning thing. When does he do lightning? Does he do lightning with that? Does he do lightning before? Wait, what spot does he do? Wait, what? I know, you got that dumb that down for me. What the frick are you talking about? There's still lightning trees, just not as many? What? There is? Where? No fucking shot, there's still freaking trees. Did I look for that sheet? Is there really? Yeah! Can I do this all in one run? Oh, those guys don't freaking count. What? These guys just straight up don't count. Okay, so I was right about the lighting in the background. What the fuck? Alright. This is really bad timing. This is really freaking bad timing. Never mind, we're good. Come on, RNG. What? What do you mean that wasn't in range? What am I supposed to do with that? Am I just supposed to wait here? What? I ain't never seen that attack before. Just give me one right while I'm walking right now. Yeah, that's what I'm freaking talking about. Yeah, boy. Ah! Says she all the way over there. Of course. This is bad timing. This is bad timing. This is bad timing. This is bad timing. Yeah! See another chump. Okay, so you said there's still freaking trees. I swear to Bob there's not. But I'm guessing I'm just supposed to follow the lightning because that's where the freaking trees were last time. So that lightning was right there, but there ain't no motherfucking goddamn trees on this beach. Nah, I'm freaking dead, beach. Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Where the fuck are these? Oh, now you wanna? When did you what? What the? Bro, I circled that whole beach last time. That shit wasn't there. Am I supposed to just sit here and wait again? Am I, can you spawn another tree so I can kill you real quick? Or, what's going on here? I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to freaking front stab you in the goddamn mouth right now. I think I'm supposed to go up on this. And probably do some of this action here if I can get the. Ah! Yeah! What was that? Okay, thanks. Okay. Bro, I swear when he was doing his little frickin' or she, whatever the frick, was doing her little sheet, there was no frickin' trees. I swear I circled that whole beach, even like for like 2 minutes. Use remote blade so it dies. Oh no, I thought I would like stab him in his like somewhere else. Goodbye, all your teleport. I don't know. What? Rip, no dragon pet for you. Dragon pet? I want a freaking pet. I no, that was a good fight though. That was fun. I like that first one. I'm surprised I caught on as quickly and not just sit there attacking those punks. Tears received from the divine dragon. The gracious gift of tears can only be granted by the one who blade the body with the is eternal, and the tears one shed will maintain their blah blah. Should use the blah blah particular blah or blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. All right. Now, what's am I? Can I? Is it a possibility for me to Fuke shoot up still or no? We're good. I'm gonna guesstimate I'm supposed to talk to you. That big dead.
Lord Ishin, what happened?
Oh, it's freaking Lord Ishin. What this bitch say?
And passed away.
Oh, Vrep?
I'm sure you sensed it. The Central Forces have taken this opportunity to attack.
This guy was a freaking homie. What the fuck?
Here.
Secret passage key. The key to the secret passage that leads out of Shinnit Castle. Leads out of Shinnit Castle. Fuck, where is that? Secret passage can be found at the end of the moat in the. Yeah, fuck if I remember where the hell that's. I mean, I remember the reservoir because I had to go do that one thing. Not far from the Moonview Tower. Fuck if I remember where that's at. Kuro's escaped the castle through his passage, and the wolf looks to join him there. Okay, so I'm meeting up with the homie.
This key, my lord has escaped the castle through the secret passage.
Yes, Master Wolf.
It's the thing you never
The
noticed
secret
about him.
passage can be
What the
found
fuck?
along
What?
the moat in the
Secret
Ashina
passage key
Reservoir,
is for the final boss,
not
though
far
we're not
from
gonna do that
Moonview
quite.
Tower.
Okay.
Lord Kuro escaped the castle through that secret passage and should be waiting for you in the silver grass field.
Understood.
The Nightjar have left smoke signals on the roofs under Lord Ishin's orders. The smoke should lead the way to Lord Kuro.
Okay, but let me just make sure I'm exhausting your sheet.
Lord Kuro escaped the castle through the secret
Oh my god, excuse me.
passage.
Do you
The
remember
secret
what
passage can be found along the
Ishin
moat
always calls
in
you?
the Ashina Reservoir.
Yeah, I feel like I've only
Not
talked to him
far
like
from
2
the
times.
Moonview Tower. He is waiting for you. The Nightjar have left the
Yeah,
smoke
yeah,
alone.
yeah,
Further
yeah,
I
yeah.
will remain
Oh,
by
shit.
Lord
Oops.
Ishin's side.
Understood.
What did he call me? He called you Sekiro? Did he? You remember who else called you Sekiro? Wait, he did? What the fuck? I don't remember that sheet. Well, to be honest, I don't know what the fuck I remember him calling me, but I'm fucking calling that sheet. I'm gonna take a wild guess and maybe say. No, I don't remember. Tengu? Tengu. Who the frick is that? Is that that's the prosthetic arm guy? No, that's not him. No, it is him. Wait, who the frick is Tengu? Remember who the frick that is again? The guy who wanted you to get rid of the rats early in the game? Oh! Yeah. He was next to the frickin' the stairs. Yeah. He wanted me to kill the 3 rats, and then I went to go kill his Mochuk because I went back to him, and then he gave me some sheep. The guy with the mask? Yeah. That was him? What in the foo? Oh. We'll see. Rip.
Lord Ishin entrusted me with something. I was told to give it to you, but it appears you aren't ready for it just yet.
What?
I will give it to you once you have mastered a secret technique.
Understood.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Smash just for almost you want to go there. Yeah, okay.
Forgive me, but now's not a time for libations.
Oh, oops.
Please, go to Lord Kuro.
Sorry, I'm busy. I can't do that shit yet. You can get item from her if you max out the skill tree. I can get that. I can get, what is that? 11? I can get that. That's easy. Okay, so let me check off my personal checklist here. So I know for a fact we still have to kill Owl. And then I think that's it. That's all I remember. I don't think we skipped any other bosses, did we? Well, that I know of. I'd like to say no. What the fuck am I doing up here? No. Yeah, I go around and get upstairs. Talking about going from the... Oh, never mind. It's not going that way. Have I ever been back here before? Oh, yeah, so I got that pouch. You want to get to the... Ow, my ears. Oh, I forgot there's another window right here. Okay, wait, so what gave their... Well, I didn't mean that. Damn, this place got spooked up. Who the frick is seeing this? Are we going up? Obviously. What the frick is dying? What is happening? Who's dying? Why am I getting experience? You know what? Don't question. Just sit there and get experience. What is happening? What the food? Alright, so I'm following the smoke to get to the last boss, which is so really interesting. Alright, what the frick am I doing? You keep moving mouse, I'm not gonna say. Oh! Oops. Okay, I'll look at her. There you go. Wait, hold on. Let me just. Okay, there you go. I just want to double check that this. I know where the smoke's at, so I don't accidentally do that. Is it where the item is? Get that side. I frickin' say less. Oh, free chest. Oh no, it's the mimic. Ooh, what is this? No text describing a black mortal blade. This is the red mortal blade. There's this one that is black in color. The blade's name is Open Gate, and it's said to hold the power to open a gate to the underworld. What the fuck? It is through this power that it creates life. Food. Okay. Alright, am I going here or am I supposed to go on top and then do some sheep? This music's sick. Son of a bitch. Like go back 100%, like all the way to the frickin' what's it called, or To the shrine? Oh. Should I grab that? Oh, who the frick? BG can I come over here? Turn around and look down again. You confuse me over, Bagel. I'm getting confused. Just kidding. There should be a bridge. Like, I'm gonna go over there again on top. I think I saw a bridge to the left. I don't know if you'd consider that a bridge. I mean, I would. Is that considered a bridge to you? Go over that bridge down there? Alright, say less. Let's just, you're not even gonna die. Let's just. I'm kind of nervous, not gonna lie. Oh, it's this spot. Oh man, got no stupid rocket launchers this time? Oh, hell yeah. What the frick is this? Who the frick are you?
You're part of the reinforcement force, right? Please hurry. The castle outskirts are in bad shape. Damn ministry forces. They've taken up the Serpent Valley and raised a bridge.
The eyes are still in the same spots.
Save Ashina.
Oh.
For Ashina.
Freaking rest in peace. If I'm not mistaken, this should be. Yeah! Look at that. I still freaking remember that shoot. Let's go. Oh, I should probably do that. The bridge just used to be broken? Did it? Huh. If I can remember that. Was that beach always dead? This guy was the homie. I'm just not stick here and freaking just worry about myself. Oh, there's freaking action up in this beach. Who the frick am I killing? Who wants to die, beach? I'm freaking killing everybody. Shit, beach, you dying too much. Okay, I don't give a beach. Your freaking money, beach. Ow. Get your ass up, beach. What? Yeah. Oh, explosions. That was cool. Just like the garbage, your dog water. So, homie. Yeah. Oh, this is where I fought that one guy. Oh, I freaking remember this place. This is where that big beach was, and I was having problems killing him. So yeah, this is kind of the beginning of the game. Yeah, we're just kind of running backwards till we end up in the dead ends. Next to is fairly close, so you can run through the gate. So it's not worth killing these guys. Yeah, dude, I freaking say for hell long trying to kill these guys. The blue guy is the boss. Oh, I could totally freaking assassinate his ass. But I'm gonna kill this red guy first. I guess we're acting as blocks now. Well, first I'm dying though. This guy's freaking dumb. Somebody sit up here and freaking harass people, huh? Get your ass up, you chicken. Alright, this dude has 2 freaking bars. It's freaking Easy. Watch this. You never seen such good gameplay this for regularly red for the sheet. It's just. I'm not sure I don't think I can do something here. Is it worth killing this beach? It's got probably give me a bead, right? Freaking run it. Let's go. Fuck that. Beach. Where'd you go? Oh, shit. Shit. Wait, hold on. Reset. Can I get a, what's the color? Freaking beach. Oh my, you have a lot of health. Oh, it's this beach. I ain't fighting this beach. Fuck that. I ain't fighting that much of it. Dude, this place got fooped up, dude. Holy shit, this place got fooped up. God damn. Is it worth killing these guys? Probably not, huh? You can just come from the idol for easy backstab. Wow, easy money, alright. Oh, hey, how's it going? Give me 1 second, let me go backstab. What's up there, homie? Yeah! Fuck, you can backstab, huh? Wasn't I like stuck on this guy for a freaking hot minute? Look, this is a one-on-one fight, my guy. Alright? No one wants your ass here, huh? Look, no one freaking wants you here, you stupid frickin'. Look what you made me do. You made me hurt myself. See, now there's a mechanic in this game, right? It's called freaking jumping, right? Now, you think after all these hours of me playing this game that I would be kind of good at doing that, right? Nah, not really. Jumping is too easy for me. I don't like doing it. Cause I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't answer that question actually. How many times did I get hit by that guy with this stupid stomp? Like what? 4 times? 4 times. The only problem is if I go from this way, I have to deal with these freaking punks coming in and freaking getting my shit. Maybe you play Celeste or something. Yeah, I've been thinking about Celeste. I didn't exactly mean 5 times. There's a mechanic in this game. There you go. No. There's a mechanic in this game, right? Where you freaking hold E and then there you go. Good job. Alright, now, let's try it again. I'm killing this bitch. Up. You coming in? Yes, you are. Like, I might as well just take care of you right here. Oh, God, I think I can stag you. Yeah. I cannot stag you with that either. Oh, right then. That's a good start. Alright. Okay, are you leaving now? Okay, now we're Gucci. Alright, now let's have a nice, friendly little battle here, alright? Whoa! I'm pretty sure you didn't do that last time. Look, I can't just have a one-on-one battle. It takes 4 years to do that. So you're telling me I go through the whole game, like what, 1 hour and what, 30 minutes of fighting all these dumb punks, right? And not die. And then all of a sudden now I'm starting to die with this. Really? Ain't that some shit? Now, what I could do is I could stealth that and not have the speech follow me around, but where's the fun part, right? Over here. Look at this guy, right? Look at this guy over there. Go over here. And this speech is just gonna magically pop up right here. And you kinda go over here and miss a little bit. You get smacked by that guy. Then you run around a little bit, and then you fucking jump around and dodge. And then you get this guy's attention because freaking why not, right? Then you kill that guy, right? And you just go over here and do some moves. And you get slashed in the mouth by this dude. And you drink this shit. Then you get another guy, right, into the mix because frickin' why not, right? Let's add in like 3 more. Yeah, then you get this guy's attention, right? Then you jump around like a Dumbo, miss your frickin' shots. Then this frickin' Deadpool guy comes in the mix. We need him in the mix, right? Yeah, of course. Then you Then you get this bitch over here. You know what? Shut your stupid ass up, bitch. Look at this. Hey, what's up, chick? How did we go from having 2 guys to having like 7? Ow! Is it called being a god? Okay. Can we just like talk about how much I want to just 1v1 this guy, right? And it's not letting me do it. Hold right click and then press left click. Most of you move in the game, you just never use it. Deals more damage if you have spirit animals. Oh, you're talking about the... I use that sheet. It's not that OP. What are you talking about? We have to cook. What's it called? And you said I haven't unlocked it? Mortal Draw? Why have I never used that? That's fucking cool. Did I never try that? You know what this reminds me of? That one move on Elden Ring that you thought was up here sheet. It has a 2-hit combo? For real? let's just take another little reset, right? Because that was unfair. Yeah, let's just take another reset. Let's just act like it didn't happen. Now, can I just have a simple fight where I don't get hit like 7,000? Is that more? Also, when did I unlock this? I've had this for a hot minute, haven't I? Okay, all I gotta do is kill this big beach fast. And then I don't have to worry about sheep. But I want to kill the small guys because they keep interfering with my sheep. How the fluke did this guy not see me? I wasn't expecting to get his attention already. Why can't I just have a simple a simple fight? Now, technically speaking, I could just reset your sheet, right? But we can pray. Maybe. Turns out it works. Okay. All I gotta do is wait for this dumb beach to walk back. Where the fuck is he at? He is sitting there chilling. Alright. I'm pretty sure if I grab onto that fucking tree, we can fucking slap his sheep. I'd much rather fight you over here, actually, because I'm pretty sure I've killed most of the fucking punks over here. I thought maybe by chance might just face that real quick. The plan was to see if that guy saw me, but he did. Let's just kill these punks and reset so he fucking does. I'd much rather fight your last one here. Alright. Round number 17 of fighting this dumb beach. Alright, now, let's just get a nice little reset, right? Walk over there, forget about me, right? I backstab you, then we have a fight. Alright, sounds like a beautiful plan. What do you think? Good? Alright, cool. Do you really want me to go farther away? No, please. Just let it happen, my guy. Like, I'm not here, man. Just go somewhere else. Forgot me for a little bit. No. You don't see me, my guy. Look, you can't even see me. This is unfair. Just shoot. Just go away. Yeah. It's a smooth little operation here, right? All we gotta do is just wait for him to walk past, right? Backstab him in the fucking mouth. Why do you hate me so much? What the fuck? There's no reason that beach should have done that shit. You're sucking so much the guy's fighting here. Dude, I need to get a backstab on him. I want that advantage, alright? I need an advantage. I suck. I hate this big guy. I fought him before and it took me 7 years. Why can't you just freaking reset all the way, my guy? Why you do this to me? Fuck you, I'm fighting you right now. Alright, thanks for the hits. It doesn't matter. Who the frick is this beach? Where the frick did you got that I killed every much up on this beach? What the frick yo ass doing up here, you frickin'? Get your ass out of here. Who else is shooting me, huh? Show yourself. Alright. I'd like to try this shit on you real quick if you don't mind. Maybe it's not so much good. But that's kind of good though. I need to start using that. Oh, I forgot. I didn't have the, what's it called? That sheet don't matter if you block it. Alright. Not gonna do that. Good thing I have that freaking, what's it called? So now I'm not used to having my, what? How did that hit me? Oh god, that's a double. By that, but I should have. How the fuck did I get hit by that? Oof. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I chanced the frick out of that when I should not have done that. That was good though. I should not have chanced. I don't know why I chanced that. Shit. Frick, now I gotta draw that bullshit again. That was the most freeze kill I've ever seen in my life, and I somehow fucked it up. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot the rotation of these punks now. Should use a thing for that instead of doing that. Okay, just take this slow here. I'm fucking killing this beach. This is taking me way too freaking long. What the? Boo. This shit taking me way too freaking long. I did not mean to do that. But I'm kind of glad to. Yeah, let's just go on the burning wall. That sounds like a good idea, dude. Yeah. Fantastic. Is there any more enemies that want to attack me? If so, frickin' attack me now, or because your brass is dying right now. No? Okay, cool. Thanks. Alright. Jesus Christ. Now, let's have a nice little fight, right? Backstab you, right? Go back there, have a little freaking tussle, talk about, you know, how everything's going, and then we just go from there, right? Alright, now, just have a good little talk here, alright? At least I jumped. I want kudos for jumping at least. Oh god, I meant to parry that. Ooh. What? Why can't that just be that easy before? What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man. It took me, what, 45 minutes? Why can't that sheet be easy just without me having to plan the whole sheet out, huh? Why gotta make that sheet so hard? Love this game. Alright, okay, this is kind of awkward because now we're going freaking backwards. And frick if I remember the exact way to go. I'm obviously just probably follow the freaking enemies, but. Would you mind maybe showing me like a big red arrow where the frick they're at? It's freaking fun over there. What's the freaking. It's the rights. Oh, it's another one. There's literally no way I'm gonna be able to tell when you're attacking me because I can't see. Oh god, I'm dying. I do remember this is where the wolves are at. Damn. How frick is that? Frickin' this. What's up with a homie? How's it going? Homie guy, good day so far? That's freaking good to hear. You wanna freaking die real quick? Ah! What's up with a homie? How's it going, my guy? Yeah, Frick you, bitch. Alright, thank you for your sacrifice. Alright, fuck you. Oh, is the guy up here? Oh, what's up, bro? Homie, how's it going? My guy's freaking good. Ah! Oh, I'm gonna get a good little reset real quick. Oh, hey, what's up, my guy? How's it going? You having a good day? That's good in here. You mind if I just. Ah! Thanks very much. Alright, what's over here? Ow, face. Take that, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, is the guy up here? Hold on, what's up? Oh, what's up, homie? Alright. Damn, they got rolled. Alright, let's take a little rest point real quick. Oh god, that looks freaking bad. Dude, why does the fire in this game look so damn good? Take it back. I'm always a fan of fire in games, dude. Fire looks good, then I'm freaking playing that. Pretty much. I'm assuming I'm supposed to go in there. It's taking a while, I guess. Probably go through the freaking door and so. Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm a hot man, just mess that up. I ain't fighting anymore. Frick you. Do I got credit for that? Oh, hey, how's it going? I got a little homies following me. Hope you don't mind.
The fire's raging.
Oh. Oh. Huh? Elden Ring? Am I just, great, it's still, great, okay. I'm gonna attack you while you're distracted. This guy looks freaking sick, my guy. Don't mind me, I'm just, okay, you can mind me now, I guess. Okay, this is literally the guy from Elden Ring, dude. It's the guy with the freaking that stomps your sheep. Why is this dumb? Oh, it's this spot. I don't like that very much. There's no way that this is. You know what? Take the chick jump. You got this. This guy sucks. How is that supposed to explain that? What is this shit? Okay, no, I know this is. Yeah, it's like not. Dude, everything but dodge. Okay. Alright. Okay. There was that before. Okay, if I try and dodge your sheet, you're just gonna freaking burn me. So, probably a good idea for me to put on some sheet that hates the burn. Oh, no. I mean, I didn't mean to heal heal like potion. You're technically that beast, right? Thought that was gonna be the other one. This is gonna take a while. There has to be like an easier strat to this. There's no shot. This is supposed to be this freaking hard right off the bat. I think it's a smart idea that I lost a lot of sheep. Hold on 1 second. Never mind. Alright. Would you mind fighting more humble real quick? Why you would attempt to dodge a freaking fireball in your mouth, but I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Again, fire. I don't know why you're trying to dodge it with your freaking sword. Okay. Oh, I saw a little icon. We're gonna be here a while. Yo, we gonna be here a while. What the fuck? I haven't even got past his first sheet yet. I don't think you carry that. Nice dodge, Nick. Alright, do I still have enough to buy sheep? Did I lose that level? Yeah, I did. Let's go. Okay, let's just buy something, dude. Preferably something that's freaking yellow. What is this? Reduces the amount of poacher when attacking by an enemy with a sword. Run that sheet. Alright. Doesn't really help me in this situation. But it helps me out. starting. I should try and hit that next time. Yeah, I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to learn the shit I can dodge. Dude, that freaking attack is hell. God damn, it's just freaking combo after combo. This guy reminds me of who's this guy reminding me of, dude? There's some boss in there. Nice attack you cannot dodge, Nick. Literally fucking shows you the icon that you can dodge that shit. Okay. Don't think that worked. I did not parry a whole lot in this fight. Yeah, I don't think you can, dude. It's like, what, only freaking like 2 attacks? Oh, no, these guys are just straight up dead. There has to be a better technique than what the frick I'm doing. Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what the frick I am. Can you give me a chance to freaking heal my guy? Jesus freaking Christ. So now, this is a point. If I was a player that used confetti the whole game, this would probably be a point I would use confetti. That's a double. I kind of forgot it's a double. I don't know if you're up. That's a double. Confetti would probably be OP as shit in this. Use it, won't change much. Oh, really? Oh, see. Okay, let's try it. Probably still got 1 tapped. How many of these do I actually have? Damn, I got a lot. Damn, I dodged that? Wait. Give me 1 second to read that. God. Give me 1 second to read that, sir. Oh, poor ma'am. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, duh. No. Oh yeah, frick you. Yeah. I probably should parry those. I should probably parry those. It's probably a good idea. Bro, this is the first dot? What's gonna happen after the other ones? I can't dodge that. Ow. Okay, I would look now, but I feel like I'm being a bad streamer. Sorry. Bro, this is the first dot, my guy. Are we gonna talk about this? I'm dead. I don't know how I dodged that. I'm freaking dead. Oh, it's freaking Sludge. What's up, Sludge? It's double. Did my death end right there? Hey, Sledge, what the frickin', what is that? 8-month resub? My dude, what's up, Sledge? How's it going, man? Thank you for the resub, dude. You're a frickin' legend. Sorry I had to win a set. Yeah, Confetti doesn't really change much. You know what, though? Something with fire. How's your week going, Sledge? You excited for Christmas? Christmas. Sheet. Heals the burn status normally and for a time decreases burn buildup, increases burn resistance, and reduces damage from incoming burn attacks. Wow, that sounds great. Okay, I'm gonna take a wild guess. This is probably like the advanced version. Power machine carried out slightly more effective than regular using power. It heals burn instead of reducing burn buildup and reduces damage buildup. When it's sacrificed but shot the water blah 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 blah. So I'll pretty much use that sheet instead of that. It's going great. How are you doing? Honestly, I'm doing pretty good. This boss is kicking my ass. She's freaking tough. But yeah, week's going by pretty quick so far. I got 4 more working days, and then I get 9 days off, which is fantastic. I'm looking forward to that sheet. I'm not sure if I'll be doing any special streams. I talked about this on Friday, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do special streams because it is Christmas and I'm hanging out with my family and stuff. But maybe. So it's not confirmed, but possibly. You're gonna stream on the 23rd? Not. That's the day of Christmas, right? Wait, when is Christmas again? The 25th? I don't know what day Christmas is. What day is Christmas? Oh, it's 25th. Oh, I was right. Yeah, I'll probably still stream 23rd. Just maybe not Monday. Well, I really have no idea what's going on, so. No shot, you don't know when Christmas is? Okay, look, I had to think about it for a second. I'm a little flustered if you can tell. My freaking bad, alright? Yeah, I'm glad it's doing good, Sledge. It's good to hear. You got anything planned for Christmas that you know of? Dude, I can't believe there's 3 executions for this guy. Oh, Bagel. You never, did I ever ask you, whatever happened to your computer? What did your dad do? So the fireworks don't do shit to us, man. You know, it's obvious. I don't know. I needed a new RAM thingy. I don't mind, it's kind of broken or something. What the food? That she just destroyed it out. I'm just hanging out with family this Christmas. Hell yeah. Do you have a big family coming over? Or? I got freaking 7 nieces and nephews. They're probably gonna come over and freaking raid my house. In a good way, not like a bad. Yeah, apparently, to be honest, I was kind of lazy. There was a good amount of dust in the PC. Oh, come on, my guy. We just talked about the dust in my PC. Now you're not gonna do your shit? I was lazy cleaning. I stopped lazy cleaning now. Oh, yeah. Speaking of dusting on my PC, I should probably do that. You know what? I'll do after my stream with that. I literally have the thing right here to do it too. It's not like I don't have the sheet for it. Hey man, my old PC I never cleaned dust. 7 years? Excuse me, sir. You're telling me your computer ran without you opening the case and having to do some shit for 7 fucking years? To be honest, there wasn't any Oh, there wasn't any dust. 7 years? Bro, that's impossible. Unless you, like, have the best air in the world. We don't know yet because we're expecting a blizzard relief. Oh, sheet. That's not good. On Christmas? That's very sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope everything is alright. I don't know, bro. I just don't have dust in my room. Why? What the frick does that work? I'm tired of this beach yelling at me. Shut the frick up, beach. How long does that shit last for? Hopefully like 9 years. Okay, so I learned a little trick. It's called being behind them. Works out pretty well. Yeah, it works out pretty well. It's double. How do I say that every time I suck at it? How the fuck? Okay, so you're telling me I get hit by everything on this game, but I somehow dodge that. I am a dead man walking. I am dead to the man of the walk. Yes, sir. Alright. It's a double. There you go. Good job. I haven't hit this man not like 2 times. Now I'm burning. Alright. Dude, every time I go for an attack. What? Did you even get a hit out of that? Okay, this game's freaking rigged. Bro, anytime I do something, I can't even get close to this thing. Can I get close to you, sir, please? Oh, there you go. Again with that? It's there, nerd. Ah! Ah! Yeah, I like that sheet. Back time, good. Whoa. That's knowing you. How about instead of moving to the left or the right, let's just go in the middle and jump. That's a fantastic idea. It was 7 years of him not cleaning his computer, which is astonishing. How often do you clean your PC, Nick? Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. So, I don't know. I want to say like I try and do it every month. I believe I have an alarm set for it, but I kind of forgot to wait for the alarm. It's usually whenever I'm like in a mood to clean, like I'm cleaning the house, I'll like vacuum my room with some sheet, and then I'll be like, oh hey, I'm already over here. Might as well just pop my case out and clean it over here. I try and clean mine at least every 3 months. That's not bad either. I feel like at least like once or twice a year, like minimum, like not 7 years. How often do you clean your keyboard? I actually just cleaned it like what was it, yesterday? I have a little like machine thing. Like it's like it's air, but it's like a wow. Oh yeah, it's called a duster. It's made to clean out. The red show keyboard. My sheet doesn't go that far. I fully cleaned my keyboard. Like I popped every key out and did that. That was like a couple months ago. Are we gonna talk about how the frick I'm not gonna kill this guy for like 10 hours? What the frick is his strategy here? Not be garbage? How is? When did your little icon come in? I never even see that shit. At least I didn't run into it. Same shot. Just run and get behind them. Seems to work out. This guy has such a big freaking posure bar, dude. It's freaking stupid. I didn't pop that shit, you dumb bitch. Frick. See, I dodged that. Why is it every time I try to run from that for that time? You always do that shit. Very dumb. Okay, don't tell me you scuff this fight after actually attacking them for probably the most you've ever done. So at least get past it. So let's get past the first phase here, alright? Let's do that. That gonna stagger you? Come on, at least get me past the first one. Come on, Peach. No! Ah! Come on, man, let it happen. Fat freaking. Let that shit happen, you frickin' beach. Let it frickin' just let it happen, my guy. You little. Use that sheet. You're out of here. You're frickin' toast. I just wanted to see. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to see. But legit, if I do that like that, I would put the keys in the wrong order. I freaking need to put the keys in the wrong order. To be fair, I laid mine out. I brought in like another chair. And as I popped them off, I put them in the layout of how they were. Because I guess I kind of had that same thought process. 20 bucks says I never get to that point ever again. Friends. How did that hit? Smart. I feel like that was like the most logical thing to do in that situation. I'm in, man. See you later. Yup. Yup, see you later. It's not right attack. I thought you were going for the slam. Yeah. No. Come on, Beach. Just let that shit happen. Get the frick up, please, Beach. Let that shit happen, my guy. God. Alright, now we get to see what happens. Does he do a different sheet? Hope not. I'm just gonna keep attacking. Not attacking. Okay, let me guess. Now you got some enhanced sheet, huh? So, first things first. You're already a lot quicker. Strategy I have going on here. I don't know how it's working because it's not. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna say anything anymore. Yeah, yeah. Now I'm dead. Yep. All right. Well, at least we got far that time. Hey, thanks for the lurk, Mr. Sledge. Mr. Slakage. Okay, you know what? No, that was good. Now, if I can do that again, but times 3 the length, might be able to kill him. The third phase of the fighting is so annoying. How about the whole freaking fight? How come that didn't stack? Okay, being behind him is definitely a strat because half his sheep doesn't even hit me. Unless I just straight up jump into it. That's a different story. But if I don't do that, probably go a lot better. Supposed to like pay attention to the sound, but there's so much going on. It's kind of hard. Are you gonna freaking use a potion? I don't know how I dodged that. I don't know when I was pressing right click, but alright. Jump right into that. Huh? Jumped right into it. Should have known he was gonna fucking do a double. That has a lot of range that I was not expecting. like 4 streams. This beat's gonna take me like 4 streams. Let's see if fully get a thing off that. Take full advantage of exactly when it can go. Wow, that was some advantage I was taking there. That was great. What's the third phase then? Maybe I can enjoy it, but you're just telling me. Jump right into this shit. It's a freaking beautiful idea. There's a thing called healing. Press that shit 9 times. Should be a game, right? Where like no matter what action you're doing, you'll just immediately stop and go. Press the button. Okay, now I want a refund on that one, my guy. No, I want a full freaking refund. I was behind your shit. How the frick did I dodge the whole time? No, I want a full freaking refund on that shit. Frick, hey, what's up, Panda? What's up with it, mate? Yeah. 0%. Use fire umbrella? Oh yeah. I should probably use that. That's a pretty good idea. Wait, fire umbrella? You're just sucking with the running. Look, man. Maybe I should use my money for that. I mean, I did technically I did this. Okay, wait, now I'm intrigued. Now I'm intrigued. Well, I'm still, I can still come back here, right? This will be unfaded out. Oh, we'll try today for the. What is that? Nick, please look at Snapchat quickly. I'm looking. Oh. Oh God, he did it. Jesus Christ. Alright, now all I gotta do, right? Get some freaking scissors, right? Chop those freaking sheets just. Yeah, dude, just push them together. Chase, you mind if I show us the stream? Get some freaking scissors. Chop the freaking bezels off the side, dude. Push those sheets together. I guess kinda hard to see it. Kinda can't see it. I guess I could just explain. He has two monitors. The freaking what is that? Combine the two together, playing American Truck Sim with the wheel. Have you drove yet with it? Oh shit! I don't think this really shows up that good on stream. And you have a little button that like enlarges my camera, but not like switching to another scene. Dude, that would irritate the shit. Now you have a permanent freaking blind spot. Zoom webcam. It would freak up everything that I have for my filters. I can't do that sheet. Bro, you got a permanent blind spot in front of you. Go frickin' look. God damn, homie. Bro, you got a cable manager sheet, my guy. I'm about to frickin' expose your cable management, my guy. You got a frickin' cable manager sheet. Look, you have that frickin' pouch back there, right? All you gotta do is just get a frickin' little sheet, put on the frickin' bottom, frickin' stuff that sheet in there. You know, I'm frickin' exposing your ass. Sorry, Chase. Frickin' look at that sheet. Look at that sheet. Look at that. Look at that sheet. Come on, mate. God damn. Expose your ass. Look, my guy. Look. Christmas, right? Just get a little freaking bar, right? Put that shit in these, screw that beach in, dude. All those power bar sheets, somehow slap those punks up there. Easy money. Paint them all black, even though they're already black anyways. Paint them more black. And then paint the bottom of your sheet so if people look under, they'd be like, oh, it's all black. I can't see. I'm blind. Boom. What the fuck's going on? You don't want to see my cables? Oh, Jesus. I had a lot of zip ties, but then I couldn't move my stuff because cables were too tight. Then all you gotta do is just freaking buy longer cables. Well, did you have your PC on the top of your computer last time? Jack shit in this situation. Now the FPS drop. That's not the attack I like. Oh my FPS. Why do I hear a freaking car form. Damn. Damn, I forgot there was another attack to that. Again, how do I go from doing that, not getting hit for like 2 minutes? I still don't have a freaking revive. See how good that was? Why can't I do that all the time? This is the first time I've ever shoot this. You should try to shoot again. Now that you have one of this, because you have more speed. Well, your cables tonight. Yeah! The strategy is to just run like a little goose. So. Dodge that. Very good damage right there. Let's just jump into it, dude. Nah, I love that. No, yeah. Oh. Bad time to heal. Yeah! Ah! Yeah! That has how much range to it? Excuse me, sir. What the? Who did you have that much range? Right click. What the fuck? Do you have sugar, Gashin sugar, something sugar? I have lots of sugar. Something sugar. What's sugar? I got a lot. This one. Give this candy to just surprise him to top of that. Buy this candy and take the stance to impart in sooner. See now, what does this mean? Like, I understand what this is. What the fuck is this? What does taking this stance do? Like, what the fuck does that mean? To impart an inhuman mission. What the fuck does that mean, dude? Is how great, but it's half your health? Have as max vitality and posure. Or granting a large attack power boost. Fuck it, we can try it. What's there to lose? At this point, nothing. Let's run it. Let's try this shit. I've never used this sheet before in my life. Well, I am definitely one shot potential. That's for sure. Yeah. That's now, if I was good at the game, might be a different story. She's hard. Not a nick out of it. There's one shot though. I gotta classify stuff as freaking items. I know that attack's coming too. I literally tell myself every time that freaking. Another. Haha. Use normal echo once you're when you're ready. Boost attack power for a time. Oh, I see what you're saying now. It took me a very long time to understand what you're saying. It's already freaking 8 o'clock. All right, let's try and get one more good run, and then I'm gonna end. I think you should get more hits out of that. Another coming. Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah. I heard the sound too, but that long island wastes about 2 of those sugars, I'm pretty sure. What have I trained you? Sir, I'm behind him. I don't know how you're hitting my shit. I did not. See, I know his attacks. This is the thing. I know his long attack takes 7 years, and it hits you in one sheet. I know that his other sheet is a frickin' 4 because he surprised you some sheet. The only thing is just the reaction time for the non-dodging bullshit. I haven't been using my umbrella too. Okay, before we end, let's go talk to the homie. Okay, where are we at again? Flames of Hatred. Alright. Oh. Oh. Okay. Damn, we got a lot of sheets. I think I looked at all this and I didn't really see anything that really tickled my fancy. Touch against all directions, hold out to move. Damage from fire brace attacks. This sure does sound like the thing you're explaining. Where did he go? What are you talking about? Just probably grab this. This is just the same sheet as before. It's just I'm able to. What's it called? Still missing 2 tools. Oh yeah, I am, huh? Wait, how would I know that? How am I missing 2 tools? Are they good? You're broke, dude? Okay, well, to be fair, I died about 15,000 times. And, I got some money stored up, alright? I got... I got like 3,900. That ain't too bad. Wait. Like 4,800. 4,900. I know which ones are missing and exactly know where they are. Are they good? Should I buy this fire thing? I should probably buy the fire thing. You know what? We're gonna buy the fire thing. And then yeah. Buying the fire thing. How much was it? 1,500? Money. Oh. Oh, oh. I think I have to get this one first to get that one. How the frick is this locked? Why is everything locked? How have I not got on this sheet? I'm going to create an arc lightning build again. Oh, what on PoE? What the frick is Mist Raven? How long does that sheet take to get? I just freaking wasted 1,500. We're gonna talk about that? Can I just upgrade some so I don't freaking die? Oh yeah, these are the duh. Okay, well I gotta spend on this sheet anyways. You know what? Never mind. Let's just buy it back. I'm gonna head to bed, have a great stream. Alright, Sledge, thank you so much for joining, my dude. We're actually gonna be ending in about 5 minutes. I'm getting forced to fucking do shit.
Yashin are likely finished now. Maybe it's time I wrapped up here too. Any more business with me, friend?
Whoa, my guy. Nah. You ain't leaving, my guy. Alright. You're staying in your seat right here. Sheet. Fuck it. Run that and buy your sheet. Fucking buy that. Fucking buy this. Oh, never mind. Okay.
Until next time.
This beach leaving. Alright, where the frick am I going? Boom. Which one? Oh wait, it's this place. I had a feeling I missed something here too. Borderline. I'm just kidding. Oh no, I actually did feel like I missed something here. Walk forward a bit into the water. Okay, which way is the water? Where water at? Oh, I never went over there, huh? Oh, I never went down. Ah! We start talking about the water, or we're talking about Greenland. Alright, from where I'm facing right now, where the fuck am I going? Talking about going down there on the right? No shot, it's just gonna fall from the freaking bamboo. Oh! Oh! You're talking about that. What the fuck? Okay, this is kind of disorienting, not gonna lie. You know, I got this, hold on. Jesus Christ. Okay, it's a little disorienting, okay. Just spam jump. Okay, well look, man, I'm trying over here trying to fucking strategize my jumps, right? I'm fucking judge, alright? I'm assuming I'm going up here. My most supposed to. Oh! Oh, you're that same beach I killed me last. Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. So I'll just take a chill pill, alright? Alright. Let me use my shit, you little bitch. This guy's a little bitch. This guy's hella right. Frick you, little bitch. Oh, yeah. Bitch. Okay. I'm assuming I'm supposed to go in here. Is one is endured, but if it shoot somehow manage it, you finally got. Okay, cool. I'm gonna use it. Ah! Oh, that felt hurt. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Where the frick is the thing again? I forgot shit's at in this map. Or in this freaking place. What's up, boy, homies? Won't take very long. You have to fight one orc. What time is it? 8:12. Might have to dip. Possibly. Hold on. Let's do the shoes real quick. When attacking in the assumed stance, disappear like a mist and move away. Huh? Oh. What? When attacking in this stance, instantly move in the direction when attacking. It's dumb. Wait, so if I time that correctly, I can just straight up pop and just sheet would go through me? Oh. If I'm attacking something, of course. Okay, fuck it. Let's go test the shit real quick. You have to use it when enemies attack. Ah, okay. Let me test this out. Do abba do frickin' no enemies here. Why am I going here? These punks are gonna be on the bottom. Practice. Oh, that beach has a freaking practice. Okay, now we'll go fight this beach real quick. Watch this. Alright, let me just kill you guys real quick. Get some shit popping off here real quick. A lot of my shit. Alright. Can you let me chill for a second? Oh. What's that? Wait, how did I just do it? Oh, you gotta. Why do I not understand how to do that? What? I don't even know what count. Wait, what? I understand the buttons you gotta press, but then again, I don't, because apparently I'm not. Okay, now what freaking buttons did I just press? Yeah, I haven't done L2. Dude, I don't quite understand how this works. Do I have to like be? Oh no, you said I have to be getting it swung at, right? This could be good. This could be good. I got dip. Alright, we'll have to try that more out. Wow, English. That could be very good against it's everything, especially bosses.